Hello, heroes. Welcome to another episode of Hypnosis Hero, where every 2 weeks, actually, every couple of weeks, we talk to some of the world's greatest hypnotists. Now, when I say we, I'm talking about the regular heroes. That's me, Shawn, Brian. I'm going to introduce them in a minute. When I say the world's greatest hypnotists, I mean truly the world's greatest hypnotists, hypnotherapists, stage hypnotists, even people that are in different professions that are using hypnosis for some really cool stuff, which is our guest tonight, which I'm going to tell you about more in just a moment. If you're watching, please give us a like, give us a love, share, please share. That helps us get found. We've got a brand new prize for tonight. If you've watched before, you know that every episode lately, we've been giving away some merch from the Jim Kellner store. And soon, hopefully, we'll have some stuff from Shawn and Brian as well. But for right now, we just got Jim stuff. Tonight, we are giving away. Are you ready for this? It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Hold on. Control copy. No, I don't need to do that. What am I doing? Okay, hold on. Seriously, every time I feel like it's the first time I've done this. I have to do share screen. Here we go, share screen. Now, the way you're going to get this prize, you're going to be watching, going to be listening at the end of the episode. We're going to do a lottery, and the lottery will be chosen by those folks that share the hashtag in the chat, Hypnosis Hero. That's all you got to do. You just got to, it's great if you'll actually have a regular comment. So if you want to ask our guest something or make a comment, that's fantastic. But if you just want to put hashtag Hypnosis Hero, that will work. And then we'll draw you, and you're going to get this fabulous. Hold on, I don't know why I can't scroll down. There it is. Here it comes. Oh, you can't see it very well. Let me see if I can make you see it well. Anyway, it's Shawn's going to share the link. He's probably already shared it. It's a beautiful stainless steel water bottle with "Damn, I'm Pretty" on it. Of course, you know the mantra, the affirmation, the words that. Remember, it's not just a funny slogan. It actually can make you feel better about yourself. Helped me when I was not doing so well in life. Anyway, hope you can see it. If you can't, go click on the link that Shawn has shared, because Shawn, Captain, is the man. All right, remember, hashtag, hold on, am I going to? Hashtag Hypnosis Hero. All right, and with that, I'm going to bring on my friend, my buddy, my business partner, some stuff hopefully coming soon, Mr. Brian Bay. Hello, Brian.
Good afternoon, Jim. You can refer to me as a morale officer emeritus for the show.
Morale officer emeritus. Hopefully business partners soon when we jump up on stage together. We're booking some shows together. That's going to be fun, Brian. Are you looking forward to that?
I'm very much looking forward to that. It's going to be great to get back on stage again. It's been before COVID, so I think we might as well just jump right in, because I'm super excited.
Right. Well, let's bring on Shawn real quick so everybody knows who the support guy is.
He does the heavy lifting. Mr. Shawn Kostiuk. We call him Captain because he is the guy that keeps this thing moving. Shawn, how you doing this week?
Good. We just actually had a big thunderstorm roll through here, so there's almost no snow anywhere.
Oh, fantastic. Poor Shawn. He's stuck up in Canada where they invented pineapple pizza. Ugh. And it snows a lot.
Sorry about that, eh?
I accept your apology. And with that, let's bring on our guest. Brian?
All right. Today, I am thrilled to introduce to you someone whose life story is as captivating as it is inspiring. He's a full-time paramedic with an extraordinary career spanning over 25 years. Hailing from the vibrant city of Houston, Texas, his journey into the world of life-saving began at a remarkably young age. Imagine being just 14 years old and already performing rescue breathing to save an adult in respiratory arrest in rural Kentucky. It's an act of bravery that set the stage for a remarkable career that's followed. From those early moments of heroism, he went on to become one of the youngest paramedics in the country at the age of 19. Throughout his career, he has served in diverse and challenging environments, from critical care helicopters to bustling urban 911 units. His contributions to emergency medical services go way beyond the field, With a PhD in human development, 2 master's degrees, and a groundbreaking research under his belt, he brings a unique perspective to the table. His work isn't confined to academia, though. His groundbreaking research and best-selling books are shaping the future for emergency medicine, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the field. Let's not forget his role as an educator. He is dedicated to sharing his wealth of knowledge with the next generation of paramedics and healthcare professionals. So as we prepare to hear from the man himself, get ready to be inspired by the incredible work of this true hero. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Bram Duffee, PhD.
Woo-hoo.
Gave me so much with that intro. If you don't mind, I just have to unpack one part of it because you just made me seem like this superhero extraordinaire. And I would say that I am a paramedic and have been my whole life. It's been one of those things that's been embedded into me because early on, my mom was a registered nurse who did patient education, and so she taught CPR classes. And so when I was barely just in elementary school, I was helping her drag those Annie dummies around, the original heavy ones while she taught CPR classes. So this has been my whole life. And so, yeah, there have been lots of extraordinary moments that I've been able to inject myself into during this time. But it's because of I've been one of those lucky ones that was that had a really good match between the way I was raised and my life passions all sort of were able to match up. So yeah, I got to do a lot of stuff really young, but even at that age, it was not a big deal to me. It was just like the correct thing to do at the time, and it wasn't even a stress moment actually because it was one of those things that, I guess I'm my mother's son. So, but thank you so much for the intro.
No, it's my pleasure. I mean, you talk about, oh, you made me out to be this like super awesome guy, and I'm like, dude, to a lot of people in this world, like you're their guardian angel and you're their hero. So, you're doing great work for people and places, and we couldn't be more proud to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. And the reason that I'm here and that I do the kinds of things that I do, it's because I don't think that we do it good enough. And I really think that I'm happy to be able to talk about some of the things that are out in my new book today because these principles and these things that I have been doing presentations on and writing about have a lot to do with matching up good care. And I think in emergency medicine, there's a lot of task orientation where, like, yes, someone needs a particular drug in this emergency moment, we get it to them, or they need oxygen, we get it to them. So it's sort of this task orientation. And in the middle of this task orientation, we've completely forgotten the fact that we are interacting with humans and that the connection that we can have on a human level can be just as impactful as that medicine. And so I'm here to say that unfortunately, I think that we've totally lost that aspect in emergency medicine from the ambulance all the way through the emergency room. We are in this interactive state that really sets us up to treat people like science experiments that just have to get stuff done to them. And I think there's a better way.
Yeah, I remember talking, I'm prior military myself. So I remember we were going through a combat lifesaver course, and one of the special forces medics was talking about like, hey, if you need to go, get somebody, get an IV in them, you're not worried about making them comfortable. Stick the needle in your arm, get that vein, and the needle can't hurt you. And if they're hurting, well, that doesn't matter. You're trying to save their life and get some type of care. But, there's also, what you're dealing with, bombs aren't going off and stuff's not exploding around you. And you're also on American soil. So I agree with you. There still needs to be a lot of a human aspect to it, but I can only imagine, having been in kind of similar situations, that it's very easy to just get super overwhelmed and then just think of like, all right, I'm just ticking boxes. What do I need to do as far as priorities at
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, and that's how we're taught in emergency medicine is, and unfortunately there's a big aspect that gets lost. And I think that most all of us, then when we get into, no matter if we're going to be an emergency room doctor or nurse or paramedic, I think all of us get into this thinking that we're going to take care of our patients just like we would take care of our family members. And I have seen that quickly dissipate. Because we do get busy. We're busy and we're so focused on that task orientation. And so I can tell you that my whole career I have spent on this as a goal, because I think that it's a problem, and I think that the way that we talk to people really matters. And I have always been on that kick. And my mom is I mentioned her, she's kind of like that too. And the thing that hurt me the most in all this, and it was right before I was working on this book, my mom got into a car wreck in Atlanta, and I'm in Houston, and it just killed me, my soul, to think about the rough negative interaction that these paramedics might be taking with my elderly mother. And it just really bothers me, because I know that they're there to do a job, but at the same time, I am in one to say that I think that there's a better way. And to start with, I think that we could have training on communication. It's just not there. It's not in any curriculum that I can find, other than to say provide supporting words. And you know I when I started, I took before even taking an EMT class, I took a lifeguard class, and part of that was a first responder class. It was like some kind of lower level class, but it was taught by an elderly. I say elderly because he was almost retired EMT, and at the college. And I took this class. It was my first orientation to emergency medicine, and he told us that, we can't be making promises to patients, and so it's not our job to guarantee anything. And so we don't tell patients they're going to be okay. And from that moment, I was really young, and from that moment, I was just in shock with that, and I thought that was wrong, and that we can't give deep reassurances to people. And I've had this career where I have been a communications scholar, so I teach public speaking, and I work as a communications professor, and then I also work as a paramedic full time. So I have like two full time things that I have going on. And what's cool is that it means that my mind stays at the intersection of these areas of medicine, and thinking about how we best communicate. And I really didn't care about hypnosis or think anything special about hypnosis, other than to embrace sort of the things that people say negatively about it, because I um, I didn't I didn't really buy into it at all. And it was just that when I was able to work to connect with people and investigate this realm, I was able to really discover some really cool research that connected with this dynamic. And I sort of call it a phenomenon where, where folks are able to benefit from communication delivered in the right way at their most needed time. So I have so much cool stuff to share with you all about the things that I've written, and um, I hate to just to talk so much. So let me let you lead my direction.
No.
Sounds good.
Whoops.
Well, let's give a shout out real quick to some folks that are watching. Boy, you're a popular guest, Bram. We've got a lot of people. We got Mark on. Thanks, Mark. Becca is here. Good to hear. Just let everybody know. Like we typically do some hypnosis at the end. The guests, can join in sometimes. Bram today is going to be doing something kind of unique. He's going to be kind of, I'm probably going to screw this up. He's going to be kind of talking through how he would handle things in an emergency situation. And then the regular heroes, and maybe Bram will jump into, we're going to do a short hypnosis session to help you to stay calm in stressful situations like that, so you can actually help someone. We got Scott King watching. Thanks, Scott.
So Bram, you've got Becca tuning in all the way from the United Kingdom.
United Kingdom.
So it's right. Well past midnight there. So, a lot of people excited to see you. But kind of touching base back to what you were talking about before, it was like, car accidents, sometimes you just have to grab them like a sack of potatoes, scoop them and roll. Get them to a trauma center, quickly. But you also, and then, so in those types of times, the tact and diplomacy, it's like, look, pass on information because we got a jam. But usually those are the patients that are probably, shock has set in and they may not be fully conscious, or they're just in a lot of pain. They're like, I don't care what you tell me. Just all they need to know is we're going to somewhere that you're getting help. But what are some of the most common things that you see in kind of your day-to-day stuff?
So imagine this happens to you or one of your family members, that you're suffering from a life-threatening thing, right? Like you're having difficulty breathing, or you're having something that's of an emergency nature. The interaction that you would want to happen to you would be just like you would want to see normally on television, right? Positive, supportive. But what happens is that, unfortunately, there's a lot of, I say, rough, aggressive questioning. These when paramedics come into that 911 moment, they're pretty much, I would say that they're at their most extreme level of stress when they are coming in to meet their patient. And because of that, really, paramedics are taught to figure out, what's making somebody die, and let's fix that, what's making them die problem immediately. And that's totally understandable. But I think that
you touched on the rough communication. I imagine that there's a lot of loud noises, freeway stuff, or whatever is going on, sirens, where it may think like, on the surface, it's like, why are these people yelling? And it's like, no, we're speaking at a volume high enough that everyone can hear. And then there's a bunch of, cross communication that's going on.
Yeah. And it's like, something that I think is a big enough deal about that. I wrote a research article that was published last year in the Journal of Social Science and Medicine about this moment that happens to paramedics, that I'm claiming that between the time their alarm goes off, like their emergency alarm, and the time they get to their patient and kind of figure out what's wrong with them, I call it the
for our listeners, you're talking about like the alarm, like you're at a firehouse, you're a paramedic on a fire crew.
Yeah.
Okay, bell goes off, you go down the pole.
Yeah, so from that time until they get to their patient and make sure they're not dying, or make sure they don't need that intervention, or at least figure out kind of what's going on with that patient, I am claiming that that's really the most stressful moment for the paramedic. And it's because, paramedics are taught how to master the art of life-saving and CPR, and those things are really secondhand to us. And for the average person to hear that, it might be of a shock, but we're pretty good at the actual tasks of what to do, how to do it. And it's the stress part is a lot about the pre-planning in our mind and getting there quickly, and managing the situation, and getting the equipment to the patient, and all of those things, because there's a lot of unknown in our mind about what could be wrong. So you can imagine that extreme amount of stress that the paramedic has now, racing to get to you, lights and sirens, climbing upstairs with heavy bags to get to you. And then finally in this moment, they're saying, okay, what's wrong with you? It's really a lot of stress. And so they, our patients can get some, fast, aggressive questioning because of that. And I say that, there are some ways to just make that so much better. And it starts with just the rapport building. And I was being precepted one time as a paramedic in a high volume 911 system in Houston, and I had two preceptors that were watching me because I was new to the agency. And so one was a nurse and the other one was a paramedic instructor. So these are like respected people, and so they were watching me interact with my patient, and do stuff like start IVs and make sure I could do the job. And so the thing that I got criticized for in an extreme kind of way was how I introduced myself to my patient, and it really set the tone for me to understand that that's not the kind of place that I want to work. But, when those are supposedly the most respected people there that are going to precept me, and I can't, be, positively interacting with my patient, because I'm here to tell you that I introduce myself to my patients almost the same way every time, by saying, "Hi, I'm Bram. I'm the paramedic here to help you. Tell me your name." These are the kinds of things I start with, and the the alternative is to treat someone like they're not human, and I'm not okay with that, because what I found was that by just starting the communication off with positive interaction, rapport building, letting the person have a sense of security that there's someone there to help them, those things actually set themselves up for a dynamic that makes that patient very, very susceptible to being in a hypnotic trance. And so I talk about this a lot, because my theory that is based on an original 1976 study by Eric Wright, who did what's called the Kansas experiment that I write about in my book. He really set the sails on this to think about how fear, that someone can have so much fear in a moment of time that they are snapped into a hypnotic trance without any need for induction. So,
Mhm.
I'm saying that a lot of times we as paramedics are walking into situations where this patient has got, the fear has come, they have extreme fear. And that extreme fear matched with the situation of you having an authority figure there who is there to fix that emergency problem, or supposedly, and though that kind of dynamic is very serious, because what I believe is that there's no need for induction, and that patient and the things that they hear and the things that they see in those moments can make a real difference for them. And just one example that I think is really powerful, and I talk about it almost every time I look into this topic, because I was with a little girl who was maybe 4 years old, who had been mauled by a dog, and her face was bloody, all, and what happens in the facial trauma, there's a lot of blood that you can get off of facial injuries, and I see everybody shaves on this call,
And
right?
you, and you,
Yeah, so I knew by looking at her that she was not going to die, but I also knew that that we had to take care of her, and it was kind of extreme, and she was going to need plastic surgery. But the thing is that in that moment, how we talk to that little girl could very easily make the difference in, is that girl going to grow up to have a dog at home when she's grown up,
Mhm.
or is she going to be, afraid for the rest of her life? And thinking about dogs especially is a big deal to me, because I was raised on a fox farm. I've always had dogs my whole life. I have dogs, now, and I, have a special. I mean, that's my thing. And to imagine that someone would go through a traumatic experience that would be, that would set themselves up to not enjoy the love of a dog, it touched
Yeah.
me, and it's true. And so, I am working to talk to paramedics about how they can talk to patients and interact with patients in these moments, and to recognize the fact that the patients that are already in this state, and so you might as well take advantage of it. And so some of the things that we talk about in our book are about protecting the patient and what they hear, because
Oh, definitely.
some stupid person in the distance can say something crazy that could make the patient think that you're talking about them, and they're not. Or the loud noise could scare a person instead of soothe them. Or there's a lot of people that get hyped up around these emergency moments, and they say things that they wouldn't normally say. Like they might walk by and say, "Oh my God, they look horrible. Is that one dead?" I mean, that's
Oh yeah.
crazy that they might hear something like that. So we like to protect our patients from that kind of communication, and at the same time work to build a rapport with them so that our words, as in that moment, can help guide them towards healing, whether that be reduce pain or to help with reduce anxiety. There's lowering blood pressure. There's a lot of benefits that can happen with um, helping someone. Every one of my patients that's worried about how they are asks what their blood pressure is, and I think it's funny because honestly, I don't think any of my patients usually know if it's a good number or not.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of it has to do with how I present that number to them, and it's not just that. It's not just that number, but it's all the stuff that's happening around them to help them get to a better place. I want to mention that I totally ran from all of this. So in my PhD program, there was a professor who studied this intensely because he was a hypnotherapist and he also was an EMT. And so now he is a nearly retiring professor, and he was a professor in my PhD program, but not didn't teach any of the classes that I were connected with. And I sort of ran from him, and I ran from his ideas because I thought that all of this hypnosis stuff was really kooky, right? And the thing is that the more I ran from it, it just kept making more and more sense. And I really appreciate him because he co-authored this book that we put out last year together, and we were able to write about this from multiple perspectives that came into one. And because him as a psychologist and a hypnotherapist, and as a retired EMT, and now as a professor, and then myself as a professor and someone who studies um, uh, conflict and stress type communication and health communication. These all things came together, especially with my practice as a paramedic. Because I'm 25 years in. Most people don't make it as a paramedic past 3 to maybe 4 years because of what it does to someone mentally and physically. And I
Yeah.
was equipped for this, and that's why I'm still here. But the book that we were able to write together, it's called Hypnotic Communication in Emergency Medical Settings for Life-Saving and Therapeutic Outcomes. It was with myself and 4 arrows. And um, the the running away that I did from this idea just uh, just was literally a chase. And so what happened was that when I finished my PhD dissertation, when you turn that thing in and you're waiting on people to review it and that kind of thing, something in my mind snapped and I just immediately, dove into this because at that point I was already practicing these skills, these hypnosis skills in my work as a paramedic. But I was really afraid as a scholar because I didn't want to have anything that would look less than traditional, that would put a stamp on my own PhD. But since then, I've I've come uh, to work out a lot of these uh, negative energy parts of me, that have been attached to it. And I guess it's just, I've been on 6 or 8 podcasts and I've spoke at a couple of universities about the book. And the more that I talk about it and write about it, the more comfortable I am. But it is difficult because it's just the fact that right now, if I just go talk to the average emergency room physician about hypnosis and say, you know, and connect hypnosis with emergency medicine, they turn their nose up, they scoff, that this is not something that is mainstream or respected, and so I think that it's and that makes this a hard hill for me to climb, and I'm doing it with these presentations and with my book, but I think it's something that we can't avoid, and it's really kind of cool because, like I mentioned, paramedics are walking into situations where the patient is already hypnotized, and so now that we've figured that out, now that we know that, I think that it's how can we not try to take to benefit from that, and
Well,
through my studies, I was able to look at all these different ways that people looked at hypnosis, and all the way through brain scans and PET scans to see that hypnosis is actually something that happens in a physical way to the brain, not just not it's not just something spiritual. Um, we talk about things to look for in our patients that we come across that are in this fear kind of state, and a lot of it is about that presentation and how do we look when we're afraid. Well, our eyes are open big, our mouth is slightly open, we have sort of a relaxed face yet stunned appearance. I see a lot of my patients with mechanical movements. It's like if I need to ask them to pick something up, it'll be a three-part process instead of just a regular thing. And the my whole career, I think that it's been interesting that paramedics have, and it's sort of like an inside joke among a lot of paramedics that, gosh, why can't these patients answer our questions, right? Like if I have, as a paramedic, come across an
they're
emergency
probably on
patient.
like information overload.
Exactly. And so instead of, so an average paramedic question might be, do you have any medical problems? That is a complex question, right, for a lot of people. And so now that I know that this patient is in a trance, I don't ask that question anymore. I say, do you have any heart problems? Do you have any lung problems? Are you a diabetic? Do you have any seizures? Have you ever had cancer? You have, that's what I do. Because yeah, they're good with that. You can move right through. But it's like kind of cool that I'm here to let paramedics know that, hey, this whole time that you thought that these patients were just dumb or thought that they just weren't with it, they are totally with it. They're just not
You're kind of like,
in
I
the
don't care that
same
you had your wisdom
environment
teeth
as you
taken
right
out
now.
when you were your wisdom teeth got taken out when you were in middle school. I don't
Right.
care if
I've got
you're
an in-ground
45.
toenail. I mean, yeah, that makes a lot of
But
sense.
Bram, you touched on something earlier. You said I introduce myself to every patient the exact same way.
Yeah,
How important for that is it for you to? It's kind of like with hypnotists. When
yeah,
you go on stage, you do your pre-talk, your whatever it is that you want to call it. You do it so much you can pretty much just ramble it off the top of your head.
yeah,
But
I
how
do.
important is that in terms of, okay, you're doing it the same way every time, but then you're able to rattle it off nice and clean. It's not, you're not stuttering and stumbling over your words, and that kind of gives you an the appearance of confidence and more importantly competence, that hey, here's someone here who's not freaking out. But Becca had a great question. She said that she wanted to ask, how do you handle situations in an emergency, and how do you calm someone down? Let's see, I'm trying to see.
In a more direct way, is that what she said?
It says, how does Bram handle situations in an emergency, and how to calm someone down, and I think get them out of their head a little bit,
Yeah.
sort of like stop focusing on all the chaos that's going around.
Well,
Can I jump in there real quick too? Because I'm
Yeah, of
wondering
course.
if you're going to try to break, if part of, and you answer this as part of the whole thing, if you're going to try to break the trance they're in or keep them in that trance.
so I work to keep them in the trance, and I I really appreciate, Brian, your question. I want to talk about it first because
Of course.
I really I can't emphasize enough how much I say that to every patient. I walk up to lots of patients who are in nursing home beds that are maybe on their last breath, and I don't know if they can hear me. I don't know, you know. And I walked into rooms where the patient's on the floor and we're starting CPR, and you know, and before I start CPR, I do what? I check for a pulse, I check for them breathing. And while I'm checking for those things, I'm talking to them as if they're alive. And I just do it to everybody. And what I've realized is that it signals to my crew that my the crew that's with me, that I'm in charge of, that I'm in control and that this is what we're doing. And it also signals to the everybody else in the room, because I also have very much experienced this fear trance in a lot of times, especially parents, so that they are, not the patient, but because their child is the patient, they are in this fear trance that's very visible. And so, interacting with them kind of takes on the same deal. And so I go with it to what you said, and I think that the way I interact with patients is that I try to be soothing and uplifting and positive, and I try to push away anything that's negative or that is not beneficial. And so, and sometimes those are words, and sometimes those are people, sometimes those are, I'm trying to protect that patient. And so, when it to the responder's question about how do I work with that patient if they're in the wrong head trance, sometimes I can't. And so what I recognize is that that I don't know these people well enough to know their normal state, and I'm in this moment with them very quickly. And so I 100% assume that everybody is in a hypnotic trance, no matter if I see the visible signs or not. I'm going to treat them as if they are, and in doing so, I I am only doing positive, things for them. The thing about my book and the things about the communication techniques that we talk about are nothing different than the standard medical practice. We're not, we still do CPR the same way. People ask me about my book, and I know that someone might ask me about my book and they don't have any medical training. I suggest to them that they take a first aid and CPR class, but because this is a book that's really for emergency room physicians and lifeguards and nurses and paramedics. And interestingly enough, there's there are other books out there that are about the same topic that I can hit on. But before that, to fully
Actually,
answer your question, yeah.
real quick, how much can these strategies carry over to law enforcement, or even people who could be first on scene to a medical emergency? You see a lot of those rescue 911 TV shows where it's like, hey, this police officer got stopped on the side of the road with a mom who just saw him standing there. I've got a choking baby. Do something while they're freaking out. Would
Well,
you
okay, so choking baby means not really much talking. It's all action. You guys know
Yeah.
about how to do the the back thrust and right.
Right.
So, but
But like
I see what your point is, and
you're
I
state
think
patrol that
that,
comes on a major car accident or something.
well, I'm an advocate of. So this kind of opens a different paradigm to mention, but
Sure.
I am a believer that the police officers in the United States are very much undertrained. And just to kind of mention this, to become an emergency medical technician, to be an EMT, it is only a 1 semester college class.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that every police officer should also be an EMT, because basically we're talking about an advanced first aid, provider.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my 2 cents about that. So yes, of course, I think the police should benefit from that, but I also just want to take that one step further and say that I'm sort of embarrassed about the police training in our country in general, and I think that yes, I think they should all be EMTs. I think they should all be at least 20% firefighters. I think they should be 20% psychologists. I think they should,
Yeah, exactly. In a
but
perfect
this is
world.
all part of what the kick that I'm on for how do we treat people and how do we make these situations better.
No, that's awesome. I mean,
I wanted to
yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I just want to jump in here real quick because you said something interesting that you're a little bit afraid that people aren't going to take you seriously when you talk about
Yeah.
hypnosis. And even though, like you just talked about, we have just scores. I mean, really hundreds of research studies that prove the efficacy that something is happening during hypnosis. And I'm just wondering, and this is why I love that you're doing this, because you're credentialed, you've got a PhD, plus you're an EMT, so you're out of that. You're not primarily in the profession. You're still talking about hypnosis. Is there something that you think that we could do as the hypnosis community to get people to understand that it's not what they think it is?
It's really hard because I feel like that um, you know, I take away some of the mysticism that happens with your show, you
Sure.
know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's sort of
Yeah,
hard because,
right.
that's what's happening, here. And because, so it's a really hard thing to answer because I don't want that for, hypnosis. I don't want that for hypnosis either. I appreciate it for all of what it can offer people, including the entertainment value. But it's just that,
Well, Bram, you could say stop doing shows, Jim. That would help. And admittedly,
well,
I think here's the thing. I think it would help.
That could be
I feel like
problematic for
if
our partnership, Jim.
well, but I'll tell you what though. I mean, if we had to choose, and say we end up losing all of the mysticism of the shows because people really. I mean, I think it would be a trade. It would be. I mean, sure, a lot of people would out of work, but it would be a good trade off because I think that the benefits of more people utilizing hypnosis could be worth it. And this is coming from somebody who would lose a lot of revenue if that happened.
You just
Really,
become a firefighter, Jim.
exactly.
Well, I had that discussion with teachers today. I was doing a professional development stint with one of the schools, and I told them, I was talking about AI and said, I'm a hypnotist, and of course everybody starts averting their eyes. I said, that's right. If you look in my eyes, I will get you.
Yeah.
And they said, no, you won't. I said, oh yeah, well we can try that later, but. The point is there is still that Hollywood view of what hypnosis isn't. They use it as something that drives the plot forward in whatever movie, TV show it happens to be. For us, it's an actual tool that brings benefit.
mhm. Yeah, and so it's this is really a special space. I would say that for folks who are not in healthcare yourselves, but you're interested in this topic, there's this book called The Worst Is Over. It's by Judith Acosta and Judith Prager. This is what it looks like, called The Worst Is Over. And it's a book that's about the same topic, only it's written from the perspective of just a layperson. So my book is more, set up for medical professionals, and the worst is over is more for the layperson that would understand this topic. But I think that what my book is able to do is to transfer this information to healthcare providers, and I think that I'm on a mission here, and I'm a communications professor. This is one of my areas, so I'm not going away anytime soon. And I'll stay, on this pulpit because I think that this is the right answer for how we interact with patients and how we treat patients. And so one of the things that my book does is it goes through some different sort of steps to how to interact with patients, but a lot of the focus is on rapport building and trust building and providing positive communication. And I want to
So
mention that,
you're just generally trying to get them to kind of calm down and just bring the anxiety level. You're not taking away pain because they need to be able to communicate what hurts where to the medical staff. Is that correct?
so great question, because one of the things I try to do is I try not to use the word pain at all, because
Hmm.
the word pain has a lot of negative connotation. So I might say to a patient, I know that you're not feeling well. Can you tell me so that I know what area needs the most attention?
Ooh,
And
that's
so what
good.
I just did was I found out like
Yeah.
what's not right here, without saying what hurts, what is pain. And so thinking about how I use my language is really matters. And so what I do is I sort of work through these moments of these moments of rapport building and positive interaction and intervention and finding out what I need to know. And then when I have established and sort of done all of those things, like made all those emergency interventions, and I've throughout this time I've worked to continue rapport building in a positive way, then I have I commonly would have a statement that I would say to a patient that helps them understand that I'm there for them and everything's cool and that they can be chill. And that is sort of a hypnotic, positive reinforcement statement. And what that originally came from was in the original Kansas experiment studies. The Dr. Wright had different groups of ambulance workers go out and interact with patients, and in the control group, nothing changed, but in the specially trained groups, he had them read off of a card, or in some cases, folks had this memorized. And what they did was is they gave them this hypnotic script to every patient every time. And so I have the same kind of thing that I do. And the book, The Worst Is Over, that I just mentioned, is its title is really connected with important words that we all think are helpful in that moment. And that is to imagine that, I've been with a patient and I've done all these things. I've worked to protect their environment. I've established rapport. I have, and then I have been able to make my interventions, and maybe we're driving to the hospital, or maybe we're waiting on something to bring somebody, like sometimes there's a hurry up and wait thing going on right in the moment. But, when there's a good moment, where I can just be with the patient, then I'm going to tell them, I'm going to give them my statement. And what I commonly say to patients is that the worst is over. And I want you to know that
That's
everybody at
good.
the hospital knows that you're coming and they're going to be ready for you. And right now, we're going to let your body just concentrate on repairing itself and feeling secure. And so that just means that we're going to let your heart and your breathing, everything bring themselves to a state of relaxation, and everything is being maintained already in a great way. And we know that getting to the hospital as quickly and safely as possible is the goal right now. And you are in a good position here with me right now. So the worst is over.
Well, having them, hey, you're relaxed and focus on your
Yeah.
body healing. I imagine that's got to make them feel like, okay, I'm contributing. I'm part of the team,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And
so
in
now
that
they're
moment, it's
invested.
like, imagine that you getting a positive statement like that, or something positive, in that moment, instead of all this other calamity that they could be faced with. And I promise that any of the other calamity is going to be negative. And so
Yeah.
it's sort of like, during these moments, things happen really fast. And, like I said, as we're getting information and making interventions, that patient's still going to be mentally involved with us the whole time. And so it's sort of like when I get to a pause, they're also going to be at the same pause I'm in. We're in the same space. And so that's a really good time to deliver that message. And what I do is I always frame it with those two words. I say the worst is over. And then I go into their specifics and then help them know that I'm there for them and everything is as good as it can be. And in almost every case, it really is as good as it can be by the time I'm able to give them, that reassurance statement. And so it's sort of like this process where, they are in a trance when I arrive, and so bam, it's time for me to protect them, develop that rapport so I can help them get these interventions done, so I can give them this reassuring statement. And then after that reassuring statement, then we're in pretty much an open territory for being able to deliver other hypnotic messages so that the patient could benefit from other things. So if we want to talk to them about relaxing their breathing, or if we want to talk about how to improve their discomfort or pain, right, would be the bad word for it.
Right.
That would be the time to do that. So where I don't have an induction that I do, but I actually wait until far into my interaction with the patient before I would be delivering, what I would claim to be, traditional hypnotic kinds of commands. And so it's because even though they're in that hypnotic state, originally they have not been able to have that connection. They're in that trance initially. They're not able to make, that connection with me, to trust me, to, let them lead. And I think that I just have to say this, and because I think that everyone in the audience is probably connected to hypnosis in some kind of way. But I just want to mention that there is nothing that we do that takes command over someone else's mind, right? So in these situations where I make hypnotic suggestions, it is just to help them feel better, and it's not something that I have the ability to do command over someone. Through the research that I was able to do for the book, and really deep into this topic, I think that our government even has done some unethical studies to try to make hypnosis be this power over someone, or this type of.
You're talking about like the MK Ultra,
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it just doesn't work. And so those things are all interactive, and it means that for me to ask a patient to relax, or me to ask a patient to stop having pain, or for me to ask a patient to any of these things is just not reasonable until I'm able to develop that rapport and that trust, because they need that connection with me, and it's not always possible. There are lots of times where I know the patient, maybe they're glued to their cell phone, or maybe they're so into the person that's with them, right? Maybe if someone has a spouse there with them, so they barely let me even ask questions because they want the comfort of that spouse, or something like that. There are times where
or if you have other people that are not the patient answering for them, and you're like,
yeah.
Yes, I appreciate the effort, but now going back to, again, kind of standardizing your approach of like your methodical stuff. I can only imagine, like you talked about, you're asleep in bed, or you're having a meal or something like that. The alarm goes off, and then everybody goes mock Jesus to whatever incident that you're dealing with, and then you get out, and it's kind of like, okay, let me slow my breathing down. Let me bring the adrenaline down a little bit, so that I'm not running up and being like, okay, hi, where does it hurt? And it's going to be like, oh God, I've got the Barney Fife of medics here. This is bad. Rather than like, okay, hey, Rico Suave comes up and goes, hi, I'm Bram. I'm your paramedic. We're going to take good care of you today. Can you tell me what you need? I think that does a lot just for, the responders, just to take that strategy. And if they did that for themselves, it would be amazing.
So, funny story. I've delivered 7 babies. I've been a paramedic 25 years, so it's kind of, it's sort of expected that, that maybe I would have a few. But I cannot think of a time when I've lied to a patient or lied to people around me, except the first time I delivered a baby. And at that time, I had a patient, their family, the fire department crew, my own ambulance crew, all of these people that were with me, and I straight up lied to everybody, right? From the start. Oh, yes, I've done this before. This is going to be so great. So here's what we're going to do. That's, how I handled that particular situation. But, to
in the back of your head, you're going, God, please don't let me screw this up. There's a lot of people watching.
Yeah. A little bit, but at that point, I had already been a paramedic for over a decade, and I knew that how I talk directly influences everybody else and how they perceive and think everything else is going on. And so that's why I did it. It wasn't to pump myself up and say, "Hey, I've done this before." It was definitely to make everybody more comfortable in the situation, and I absolutely think it worked. And so it's one of those things that
Could you imagine
one of
an
the first
airline
things that
pilot?
I figured out was that everybody is going to respond to how the urgency that I put on the situation. And just also to mention, there's a big difference between an emergency medical technician, the EMT that takes a 1 semester class, and the paramedic level. Paramedics are trained a 2 year, it's like a 2 year program. So it's very common that in a 911 call situation in the United States that we would have the highest trained person there would be a paramedic, and then everybody else kind of not understand what's going on so much, So if we say like first aid trained versus advanced cardiac trained, see what I mean? So it's sort of like that one person, sometimes that one paramedic that's there, their training is so far advanced compared to everybody else that everyone else is looking to them, and so everyone else is going to be in that moment trying to see, okay, are they nervous, or are they asking me to do things quickly, or are they, all that matters in that moment, because the training level is also different. So everybody listens to that one person as the paramedic.
And I can totally understand because could you imagine, everybody white knuckled on an airline going, "This is your this is your pilot speaking. This, congratulations. This is my first flight. I'm super excited." And everybody's going, "Wait, what?"
I'm super excited.
I'm not so worried about the flying part. It's the landing part.
Yeah. You're like, I want the person like my uncle, forced into retirement due to age, and they go, "This is my last, after 60 gazillion hours of flying the globe and everything like that. We're on the ground safely." But no, that's, God, this is just a wealth of information. I could talk to you all day on
It
this.
really is. Yeah.
I also want to mention that the way that one of the main reasons that I think it's so important to train paramedics on how to communicate with patients that are in these situations is because sometimes we don't have those tasks to do. They're not possible. So one of the big things that we can help with hypnosis sometimes is pain. And if we have a patient that has their blood pressure that's too low, or maybe I can't start an IV on them for some reason, then I'm not going to be able to give them pain medicine. And then I'm just stuck. And so it's just super frustrating, as a paramedic, to not be able to start the IV to give the medicine, or for their blood pressure to be low and I can't give it because, it could bottom out their blood pressure. So in these cases, what I'm doing is offering them more. They now can, work with pain control, hypnosis discussion, because before this there was nothing. And I remember this time that I had a patient. This one time I had a patient who she was trying to. The story went that she was trying to prevent her boyfriend from committing suicide. He had a shotgun, and she put her hand on the end of the shotgun barrel, and there was some kind of frustrated tussle about stopping, because he was trying to kill himself. She's trying to stop him. But in the midst of this, the gun went off, and she blew, this part of her hand was totally blown off, so that there was just like parts of fingers hanging, And so unfortunately, this is a case where the patient was too, I couldn't start an IV because she was too big. I couldn't get it, and I couldn't get the vein. And I remember that desperation feeling that I had as a paramedic of like, dang it, I wish I could just do something for her. And now, this is what I would be able to do. I would be able to talk to patients in a comforting way to help them through that moment, instead of stomping around my ambulance in my own mind, thinking about my own inability to start an IV.
I'm thinking big gaping hole in one's hand. I'd be like, throw a tourniquet somewhere. And unless it was just,
Well, it wasn't actually. So one of the interests. So one of the things is that, and not to get too medical, but I wanted to maintain blood flow to those digits on the very tip.
Mm.
So there isn't much there. So the bleeding was not as severe as you would have thought. So we didn't
Okay.
have to go to those kinds of those measures. Not everybody always has to have a tourniquet, but they save lives still.
Yeah, definitely.
This
Yeah.
has been incredibly illuminating, Bram. I mean, really, such a great conversation. I know you were going to do a demonstration of what you do. I think you said if somebody was having a heart attack or something like this.
Yeah. So it's
Well, I'm gonna go
it's
tend to
beneficial.
the door.
Yeah, and also I just want everybody to know. So Bram's going to do a. In case you're just tuning in, don't forget to use the hashtag Hypnosis Hero, all one word, to be entered in the raffle for tonight. Um, After Bram does his demonstration, then we're going to do some of us are going to do a hypnosis session to help you to remain calm under pressure. So in case somebody around you is having a heart attack, take it away, Bram.
Well, so far I've talked about how it's important for the paramedic and in the training that I do in what I'm advocating for in my book is I talk about how paramedics are best benefiting their patients by establishing rapport with them first, and then after that rapport building happens, we are able to give them a reassurance kind of statement that lets them know that we're there to take care of them. And one of those key things to mention were the words "the worst is over." And
The
then
worst is over. I love
the
that.
the after that, as I had mentioned, it sort of opens us up now to a time where we've done the things necessary. We know the patient is in the hypnotic trance. We have done the rapport building, and we've maintained positive communication, and we've given them reassuring statements. And so now it's time, to help them and with some commands, so to speak. And so the chest pain patients are um, really common. And one of the things that I like to talk to my chest pain patients about when I have them is about helping them relax and helping them kind of deal with everything that is happening in that moment. And so you guys probably may know that chest pain patients get oxygen on their face and then a whole bunch of electrodes all over their chest, and they get IVs in their arms, right? So by the time the chest pain patient is like going to hear me talk to them, they're going to have all this crap on them, right? So what I like to do with those kinds of patients, and in a reassuring way to help them through this moments, is I like to talk to them about what's there with them, and I do it with other patients too. Like if it's an asthma patient, it might be what's in the room or what. But specifically, these people have all this stuff on their chest. It's nice to be able to talk about it from that perspective because I know that that's uh, the moment that they're living it through, and so I might say something like, these heart monitor electrodes that we put all over your chest are super sticky. And I know that we have all these wires here that are helping us look at your heart. So I want you to know that everything's looking good. And so right now, let's work together to relax. And to do that, I want you to imagine with me all of these stickers that are stuck to you are connected to balloons.
Hmm.
Like balloons with different colors that are pulling on these electrodes. Can you close your eyes with me? Let's just do this because I want you to see them with you, in your mind, just like me. Can you tell me what colors you see? Maybe a blue one? Yeah, that color. So I mentioned the color. So
Yeah.
I want you to think about these because it's going to help us relax together. So each one of these has some pressure in it, and this pressure is going to help you with the pressure that you're feeling on your chest. This pressure that we're going to lift up and away from you because those stickers are stuck to the cords, they're stuck to balloons that are going to work to just lift away. I've got this oxygen that you have on your face is helping your heart, and the medicine that I gave you is doing the same thing, helping your heart, and all of this is helping in a positive way. So your chest feels light, and this discomfort pushes away as the balloons are moving up. Can you see them? Imagine that going up to the sky. you know, what we believe is that people, I'm not saying this to a patient now, but what we believe is that people who are able to visualize things are much more adaptable to, these hypnosis techniques. And so it's important to imagine that I'm in the patient's shoes and what is it that they're dealing with in that moment from their eyes, and then also connect that to what's going to help them heal. And the most up till now, I think most of the intense research that's been done on hypnosis and medicine has really been done in pain control in burn centers. There's a whole bunch of research in that area, and a lot of it is because patients have to go through these horribly painful debriding processes, and it's just not reasonable um, to make a drug addict out of everybody that's a burn patient, because that's what would happen if we didn't have other ways like hypnosis to help them through those. So it's not just burns, and it's not just pain like that and anxiety. It's also physical parts of the body we feel benefit from this. And so the way that I talk to patients about stopping their bleeding, I think that also, as strange as it sounds, also helps. And so as I'm talking to them about the bleeding that is going to stop, I might talk to them at one moment about how it's good that they're bleeding because that blood that's coming out is flushing out the dirt that's coming from the wound, and it's helping us right now. And so now that we're able to use your blood for good, now we can go ahead and stop the bleeding together. And so as I bandage up their wound, I mean, these are all healing techniques that I have seen also have physical reactions. So I'm not saying that I'm a wizard or anything, but there are lots of times when these techniques help people in an absolute physical way, and absolutely do stop bleeding, and I don't have an explanation for that other than to say that I am suggesting that the patient do what we need them to do physically, right? And connecting that. And it's sort of like being on the same team with the patient, and imagine the difference of being a patient who feels like someone that it's almost like you're in an alien world and you've been abducted and people are treating you like a science experiment, that kind of world, as opposed to, talking to them in a team kind of approach to get them there. We even talk about how to talk to patients who are rape victims, and that's a very serious, scary topic that no one wants to ever have anything to ever deal with. But we as paramedics do come across these situations, and so it's important to understand about what questions not to ask and how to continue to be able to give reassuring statements without making someone uncomfortable. But there's a lot to unpacking this, and I want to encourage that if you are someone that's connected to hypnosis, that maybe getting the book for your friend that's an emergency room nurse or an emergency room doctor or a paramedic or an ENT, getting my book to a friend of yours like that, might actually make a big difference. And to get out this message and to work with this, I don't have it developed yet, but I'm working on a training program that I'm developing, and as I mentioned, I am giving talks that I've done at EMS conferences and universities and podcasts, and so the topic is highly specialized, but I think that it's something that expands hypnosis in a way that's really exciting because none of these folks who interact with patients who are in a trance know it. And one of the things that was a really cool aha moment for me is the co-author to my book. His name's Four Arrows, Dr. Don Trent Jacobs. Um, he has PhD in health psychology, but he also has a doctorate in education. He's also a hypnotherapist. He's also an EMT. So very, very versed person. And I was having a conversation with him one time when we were doing planning and talking about our book. And I said, this is out of the blue. I said, so you were a hypnotherapist, so you see people all the time who are in a hypnotic trance that you put them into because you induce them into a hypnotic trance. So you saw those patients and what they looked like and how their demeanor was and how they were. And then you went on the ambulance and you were able to pick out the same characteristics. And that's how you figured out that these patients that you were interacting with on an emergency basis were also in the same, kind of trance. And he said, yes. And I was like, dang it. Because this is the kind of thing that it takes sometimes for big leaps and bounds to be made in society, right? It took somebody like Dr. Don Trent Jacobs, who happened to have, these highly specialized areas in life that rarely cross,
Right.
and they crossed under his umbrella to make this a go. And I'm really thankful to him and to the research that's been done, back since 1976 on this topic.
That's really fantastic. And, that's such a great point. I mean, where in the world are those kind of careers going to intersect?
Right.
And I mean, what a great kind of a coincidence that all came together for him to kind of discover that. So
I think so too. And that's like one of the things that just makes me really, really excited to be able to work with him because he, is just one of those really special people. So he and I have got to spend a lot of time together. So after I finished with school and, through the book publication time, to help me learn a lot. And it's really strange because I'm in this place where I am an expert on this very small part of hypnosis, but I watch people that do this for a career and I am in awe all the time because I think that there's just so much to hypnosis. And one of the things that I guess is just is really evident to me is that we mentioned before that there are research studies out there that show that hypnosis works on medical stuff. But I have to say that there are just as many research studies that show that it doesn't work, right? And so what I think is that we're dealing with human elements, and the human behavior, when you look at psychology studies at all, it's difficult to get the same exact answers because every time we're dealing with different people. And when I talk about this topic, I say, as humans, we, have different things going on in our head depending upon our sex drive and our hunger and how sleepy we are in our frustration with our family, or what, all these things matter all the time. And so because it's a human behavior thing, we just have to recognize that a lot of times patients are experiencing this hypnotic trance, but not always will we be able to make impact. And I still yet do. I still yet, like I said, I work to talk to patients as if this is their that's their reality, because it can't but help provide something positive.
I'm seeing definite similarities from what you described with stage shows, and also like people that are anti stop smoking, anti-anxiety, that type of stuff. If they're not dialed in, like, hey, this is they're of the mindset like, all right, I'm investing in myself, this is going to work, or I'm jumping in with both feet. If they're looking at this as like, well, prove to me that this works, or I'm trying to stump the hypnotist, they've already quit before they've begun. And I think that's that human factor that you were talking about, where there's, it's your statistics are, kind of based on the pool of people that you're researching.
Yeah. And I tell paramedics that are starting these techniques who are uncomfortable at first because it's something new for them to practice with kids. Like, think about how you talk to kids. It's easier because it is, it gets your head out of that embarrassment, kind of thing with adults, and maybe, ease into it. But to just the fact that we can recognize that this trance is already happening. So at the very least, we can take advantage of it by, providing a positive environment for that patient. And maybe a paramedic reads my book and it takes them 6 months or a year later before they're able to fully implement this in their practice. But to know these things is a big difference. And just like I said, to understand that I can't ask that question, what medical problems do you have? These are not good questions. So understanding that where the mind of the patient is I think, really beneficial, even if the paramedic is not ready to be on the level that I try to aspire to be myself, to work through these techniques.
No,
Brad, thank you so much. We're all done with questions for now. Thank you so much. We got to wrap up the show. But I do want to. I want to thank you for being on. And Bram, I don't know if you want to stick around for the hypnosis or not. It's up to you.
So I'm going to be logging off, but I'm so excited to be able to spend time with you.
Awesome.
We need to do a part 2 to this.
Absolutely. We'd love to talk to you longer, but we're already at. We're getting close to the. We're going to be on the hour and a half thing. So sorry to cut things short. But one thing that we always like to do here, Bram, is we always like to find out if you're our friend or frenemy. Kind of a silly game.
Oh yeah.
Kind of a silly game that we play here on the show. Silly to some people. It's dead serious to all of us, Bram. Brian, since this is since you went out and found this guest for us, why don't you do the honor?
All right, Bram. Pineapple on pizza. Yay or nay?
Oh God.
You're not going to offend us.
You're going to offend. I think he's going to offend us. Pretty sure.
So it's like one of those questions where you're on the stand, right? And you're on the stand and I say, I can't just answer it like that, because if I answer it like that, it's not fair. So here's the truth, and I'll just say it quick. Yes, I like pineapple on pizza, but only in a special circumstance. Like there's this one special circumstance where I like this one formula, but other than that, no.
Wow.
I'll give him that. I'll give him that.
Half friend. You're a half friend.
Because there are some things where I'm like, okay, one thing nails it, and then everything else, it's just like, no, it can't compare. It's just garbage.
All right. Well, I think
everybody does that. What's it like that? Pineapple and ham? Is that what they do, or something like that? Or
yeah, that's the Hawaiian pizza.
No, yeah. I think that's horrible. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Well, we got
that's
that
horrible.
part.
But I have my own little thing. Like I think I have my own situation, like special formula that I like it. But
I'm kind of curious about that formula. Can you share that formula, or is it top secret?
Yeah. So you know how it's like I like to do the mix of flavors. So I take the pepperoncini peppers plus the pepperoni plus the onion and then the pineapple, because then you mix the flavors with the spicy pepperoncini peppers and the sweetness of the pineapple.
I think that plays. I'm willing to give him that, Jim.
Ron's a nice
and
guy.
I am anti-Hawaiian pizza.
I'm completely offended by all pineapple on pizza, but I'm gonna give him a pass. He's a nice guy. You've actually got Becca going, who first said no, it should be never at all. Then she says, actually, I do sort of get what you mean, though.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, all right, there's some substance to that, rather than just, we're going to mix ham and call it Hawaiian. It's like, no.
I think there's some hypnosis going on here. That's what Bram's doing. That's what it is. Bram, we got to have you off for a second one. Sometime, you got a new book going to be? You're going to write another book? What's going on for you?
Actually, I'm doing a research study right now that's for my next book, and it's about conflict that happens between paramedics and their managers. Because you can imagine, I've talked about now this intense interaction that happens between paramedics and patients. My next book is about those same kinds of things that happen between paramedics and their managers, because they're all dealing with intense moments. So that's what I'm up to next. And in general, I teach and I work in the topics of health communication.
I can't wait to hear about this research study. So let us know when that's done, and we and maybe the new book, and we'll definitely want you back on again. Thanks, Bram.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to connect with you, and we'll make a round 2 happen. But Bram, just like you, I'm going to have to go and materialize to another part of town. So again, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
So, all right, everybody, I'm out of here.
Bram,
Stay free.
see you, Brian.
Have a great evening.
All right. So Shawn, looks like it's you and me, buddy.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time.
Ready to do some hypnosis for these people?
Yeah, just make sure everything is good, and then we still have the raffle to do. Yep.
Oh, yes, the raffle. We'll do the raffle at the very end. Maybe we should do it now. Actually, let's do it now, because what if people are kind of zoned out and stuff and they don't know what's going on? Good point, Shawn. Okay, so one last chance to get your hashtag Hypnosis Hero in. If you go hashtag Hypnosis Hero, you can win more than once at this time, but at some point we'll probably have to cut that off. Hashtag Hypnosis Hero, you're going to win the fabulous stainless steel Damn I'm Pretty water bottle. Get ready. Here we go. Put that in there. My hashtag. All right. Hypnosis Hero. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
It'll probably be me. Yep.
Yep. Okay, we'll try again.
Woohoo!
Right. Get ready. Oh, and I want to let you know, if you're not watching right now, I will try to track you down. So if we're Facebook friends, I'll try to find you. This is only live. In the later we can't do it. If I can't find you, you got to get a hold of me, or I can't give you the prize. Sorry. All right, here we go. Scott King. Scott King is our winner tonight. I will be contacting him shortly to let him know about his fabulous prize, and we'll get that over to him. Thanks, everybody. We're going to start the hypnosis right now. So this hypnosis is going to be for staying calm in an emergency. You've just seen the way that Bram talks, how he does that when. Sorry, get rid of the raffle thing here. I don't need to. Okay, so now we're gonna. If you're in a situation, so somebody's got some chest pain, you come up on an auto accident. I've come up on an auto accident before, and that was kind of scary and stuff. How you can remain calm so that you can do your best to help people. And as always, during the hypnosis session, please do not drive, move around, operate heavy machinery, that sort of thing. For this one, I want to install an anchor for you. So Shawn and I are going to work on doing an anchor. And an anchor is something where it's going to help to remind you basically to remain calm. And so the way an anchor works is, and we can use them for anything. I've got some anchors to make me feel energized, that kind of a thing. So what happened, and I'll give you a great example. The most used example is a song. You hear a song playing, and that reminds you of some time in your life from before, some event. That's an auditory anchor. I've got one. So if my grandmother used to always kind of push me along, or kind of give me like an encouraging pat on my low back. And anytime that somebody does that, or if I brush against something, it reminds me of her. So what I want you to do is pick out a spot on you. As we can do it physically, auditory, or physically, auditory. We can also do visual. We could even do taste or smell. We'll just focus on physical because it's pretty easy tonight. So what you want to do is you want to find something that's going to be a great cue for you. Some people will use like a pinch of the earlobe. It's pretty common. Although if you pinch your earlobes a lot, you don't want to use that one because it's going to diffuse it. You can also maybe touch a knuckle. Do you have other examples, Shawn?
Some that I've used with clients, definitely the earlobe, because this is also a pressure point, right? So it will calm you down.
Yeah.
Right here. Let's see if I can get my hand in here.
Mm-hmm.
Right in here, if you push on it, that's also another pressure point. But if you want something that is not visible to other people because you're working to control your anxiety while you're in a crowd or in a situation, it could be something as simple as just rubbing your fingers together 3 times.
Perfect. So you get to pick that. Now, during the hypnosis, Shawn and I will maybe take you to a calm place, and then we'll say, engage your anchor. And then that's your opportunity to go in and engage whatever you've chosen. And then you can practice it, practice it over time, and it'll get stronger and stronger. And pretty soon you'll be able to just, boom, you'll relax. Shawn, would you like to start, or do you want me to?
After you, I'll be first.
All right, sounds good. As soon as you're ready to jump in, you just jump right in. We can talk over each other. You can put up a finger, whatever you want to do.
Yep.
All right, not that finger, Shawn. Dang it.
I'm Canadian. We don't use that finger. We use metric fingers.
Metric fingers. All right. So here we go again. Please do not watch, listen while you're driving, moving around. Even if you're sitting on if you're sitting in an area where you could fall, like I'm at a desk right now. If I zoned out completely, I could fall down, hit my head, whatever. Don't do any of that. Go sit down in a recliner, lay down on your bed, something like that. Get comfortable, because you're about to be, boom, hypnotized, but only if you're ready to experience hypnosis. So this hypnosis process is going to help you to set an anchor to remain calm during situations where in the past you might have felt some stress. The best thing you can do right now is just start taking some relaxing breaths. Maybe deep breaths, maybe deeper breaths, whatever you like. It's all up to you. Now, some people find it easier to go into hypnosis when they close their eyes, but other people prefer to keep them open. Maybe they focus on something around them. You might have a candle or a water bottle. Maybe even your computer, your phone. You can just kind of focus. Allow all outside sounds, distractions to fade into the distance as you focus solely on my voice, Shawn's voice. Nothing's going to happen that you don't want to have happen, and this is the time to let go completely. So if you'd like, you could begin by just drawing a great big circle on a chalkboard, whiteboard, whichever you like. Then you could draw the letter A and then erase it. The letter B and erase it. Going all the way through the alphabet as far as you'd like to go, as far as you can go, and then you could come all the way back. Well, you could just go back and forth, A to Z, Z to A. But at some point along the way, you may find that you're just zoning out completely. Maybe you hear every word I say on a conscious level, or maybe you're allowing this message to go just straight to the unconscious mind while you continue with the alphabet. Or, Shawn, sometimes people like to go to the beach or even on a walk in a forest, sit by a stream.
And feel that calm.
Calm.
And feel that relaxation.
Relaxation.
And no stress.
No stress.
Things that are trying to trouble you, dissipating away, floating away almost like a balloon.
All the way gone.
And as you feel that calm, know that you can feel that calm anytime you need to feel the calm.
Anytime.
And anytime you want to feel the calm, simply engage your trigger.
Engage that trigger, engage that anchor.
And just allow yourself an opportunity right now to engage that anchor.
That trigger.
And feel the calm.
Breathe it in.
Exhaling anything that would be troubling.
Just let it go.
And knowing new levels of calm.
New levels.
Allowing yourself the opportunity to control yourself through situations.
So that you can help those around you to remain calm.
And
Feels so good.
as you remain calm and you help people, just allow that calm to spread.
And this level of calm that you're beginning to feel, perhaps you've already felt it on a very deep level, you're finding now that you can use it in any situation that may have caused you any kind of troubling feelings in the past. You can simply engage that trigger, that anchor, and just
And knowing that that deep breath in and of itself is cleansing. It lets out anything that would trouble you so that it just floats away.
floats,
Totally invisible to everybody else.
drifts.
And as it drifts away, it's only replaced by calm.
And you might begin to think about different things. Sometimes you know what you know, and at other times you simply don't know what you don't know. But right now, it might be interesting to just take a moment and on the count of 3 to engage that trigger, that anchor once again. So just prepare yourself, getting ready. Allow yourself to feel the calm. Good. And I'm going to count you up. As soon as I say that number, engage that anchor. So, one, first of all, get that level of calm. You've been there before. You know what it's like. It was that time when you were on that beach or by that stream, or maybe just, those times, Shawn, when you're laying in bed and it just feels so good. That moment as you're waking up or falling asleep, that sense of calm. Two, intensify that feeling. Feel that calm. Perhaps you even get a chill just thinking about how good it feels to be so calm. And on the next number, just engage that anchor, engage that trigger. 3, engage it now and just feel. That's right. Calm. Relaxation. Focus. Feel it, hold it, breathe it in. Maybe even let it out with a sigh. And perhaps you'll find in any kind of a situation where those around you are stressed and anxious, you remain so calm with laser-like focus that people around you are surprised. They admire you because they're so surprised at how well you can remain that sense of
Calm.
that's right. Calm.
And now that you know what you know, and you feel what you feel, and you have your anchor, knowing that you can use it anytime you need to, in any situation.
Calm.
And as you are calm, you can feel that peace, you can feel that focus, you can act appropriately for whatever situation happens to be. And you can help others to get their calm. As you continue relaxing, listening to both my voice and Jim's voice, knowing that that anchor in and of itself is anchored. On the count of 3, it's yours to use anytime you need to. So allowing yourself the opportunity to solidify it one more time. Engaging your anchor on 1, knowing your anchor and the feeling on 2, and on 3, Feeling the calm.
Calm. Relaxation. It feels so good to just relax. To just let go.
And peace. And
Peace.
focus.
Focus. That's right. It feels so good to relax, to just breathe. Good. You've done an excellent job. You now have that powerful tool which can help you and help all of those around you, because the more calm you remain, the calmer those around you will be. And so in a moment, Shawn and I are going to count you up from 1 to 5. And on the moment we say the number 5, you'll find that you can either drift deeply into sleep or relaxation, or if it's more appropriate to be awake now, you can just open those eyes on the count of 5, feeling rested, relaxed, and calm.
Starting with the number 1. And moving up to number 2, taking in a deep cleansing breath.
3, finding that the more difficult the situation, the more challenging the person you're dealing with, the more calm you feel.
And 4, knowing what you know and ready to use it anytime you need to.
And now 5, either drifting into a deep state of sleep or relaxation, or eyes gently opening when you're ready, feeling rested, refreshed, and so calm. I felt really good, Shawn. Good one.
Yep, that worked well.
I'm going to let us know what happened for you in the comments there. You know, we always love to hear what you experienced. If you didn't experience anything, that's fine. But if you felt the calm, maybe you felt the anchor kicking in, let us know. I'm actually going to start cutting the hypnosis part out and maybe posting those separately so people can use those. This is a really good one to start that with. I want to thank everybody for watching. We had a great time. Shawn, as always, your captaining skills are numero uno. Please join us next in 2 weeks. Well, it's second on the fourth Monday. Could be in 2 weeks. It will be 2 weeks, right? I think so. Anyway,
Second Monday is in 2 weeks.
That's what I meant. Second month. See, that's why he's here. The second Monday.
Now let me go check to make sure.
So join us on the second Monday of May.
Actually in 3 weeks.
Well, it's 3 weeks. Okay. See, it's these 5-week months and stuff that screw us up. So it's about 3 weeks from now. Anyway, it'll be the second Monday of May. We're going to have our good friend Richard Cole on. Richard Cole is a stage hypnotist. I think he also does some hypnotherapy. Is that right, Shawn? Do you know?
I believe so, yep.
Yeah, does a little bit of hypnotherapy.
Monday, May 13th.
Okay, Monday, May 13th. Z Shepherd says they feel great. That's fantastic. Jeff Bennick says some Monday. Jeff, we got to get you on the show sometime. I know it's a weird time for you over there in the Netherlands there, but we'll get you on when it's convenient for you. I guess you're watching now, so I guess you can do it. Anyway, we're going to have Richard Cole on. He's a stage hypnotist, fantastic guy. He also coaches stage hypnotists. He was a presenter. He's been the presenter for the last 2 years at the Performing Hypnosis Summit. He's going to be one this coming year as well, which is in January 2025. As always, we sincerely appreciate you watching. Becca says that she's super drifty, about to sleep, but just want to say that was so good. Love the whispers too. All right, good. We're doing some ASMR now. So we're going to cover all the bases.
We can whisper all day if we, as long as our voice doesn't give out.
That's right. We'll do it. We'll jump on the ASMR. Is that still a thing? I don't even know if it's still a thing now.
I see it every so often through TikTok. There's a couple of people that do it, but it seems to have dropped off a little bit.
Boy, it was just a huge thing there for a while. Anyway, we really love having you guys watch, listen. Next episode we'll have a new piece of merch. Go check out the shop. Jim Kellner, hypnotist.com. Shop now is where you'll find that. Also got some great offerings. And also, I need to remind people of this. I'm going to be teaching stage hypnosis and hypnotherapy coming up end of May, first part of June. More information about that will be coming soon.